Welcome to Key 3 Educators, helping you excel as a Christian school leader, educator, or homeschooler as you outfit students to learn themselves, love God, and live connected. Here's your host, Stephanie Smith.
Hello there. I'm Stephanie Smith, and I'm committed to helping you unlock leadership and teaching excellence in your school, classroom, or even at home. Think of me as the aid that you rely on to bring you resources that help you accomplish your calling. Now, today on episode number 1, that's right, the very first episode of Key 3 Educators, you're going to be excited to know I am here to help lighten your load. You've got a friend in me. You have an ally, an aid, and someone who believes in what you're doing. Before we jump in, there's a resource that you can get at key3educators.com. No cost, only benefits. It's the 3 Keys newsletter, a short and sweet email you can zip through in a couple of minutes. And just because it's short in length doesn't mean it's short in value. Because you know there's only one idea, insight, or resource between good, better, and best. And you can sign up for that at key3educators.com. In today's episode, let's think of this like it's the very first day of school. And students come in, and whether they're new to the school or in a new class, they are asking themselves, what's in it for me? Well, that's a perfectly rational question, and you should be asking that as well. So today I want to answer that. Well, number 1, you're going to receive encouragement. Before you say, oh, woo-woo, that just doesn't sound like much. Hold on, listen in. You know, in our culture, education mirrors parenting in that both institutions receive a lot of fanfare and affirmation at the conceptual, categorical level. You know, we hear about educators or parents as a group and we think, wow, they're so important. They're so amazing. What they do is just phenomenal. But when it comes down to an individual level, a lot of times it's like there's this metamorphosis that occurs. And people can be more likely to hear things like, well, I can't believe she lets her kid behave that way. Or, oh, that teacher just doesn't know what he's doing. You've probably had those moments of, oh, thank you. You've had such a positive impact on my child. Or even a student saying, wow, I really got something out of that lesson. But I'm guessing that even in Christian schools, the ratio of complaints, criticisms, and questions about your leadership decisions or teaching style can easily outnumber the affirmations. You know, as human beings, by default, we are more expressive often about what annoys or displeases us than what affirms or satisfies us. Even if you're fortunate to have a different culture where the affirmations exceed the critiques, and I hope you do, or you're working on building one, here's another reason you still need encouragement. Our minds attract the negative like ticks on a hound dog. Now, that's kind of a gross example, but negative thoughts are just like that. They latch onto us and start sucking us dry. And sometimes we just need people to come along and help pull those negative thoughts off of us so we can get on with our business. Now, there's another reason yet why you need encouragement. You see, it's a common condition for educators that they live with a chronic sense of inadequacy. It's like having a persistent low-grade fever, which just becomes normal after a while. And that feeling of ongoing low-grade failure isn't a career bully you have to succumb to, but you can fight back by bringing meaningful encouragement to your aid. And this is something that we're going to be talking more about in later episode. Now, the second benefit to this podcast is you're going to be empowered with timeless truths about the nature of God and people. You know, one of education's greatest challenges is separating the tested from the trendy. You know, from one perspective, our educational model as a whole in the United States is kind of like the perfect lab for learning experimentation. And if you've been around education very long, you can look back and realize that this has been going on for a very long time, where there's a new trend that comes in and it takes over and it's what everybody's supposed to be doing. But then eventually, how many times do we find out years, maybe even decades down the road, oh, that didn't really turn out so well? And so what happens then is the cost for this lab type of educational model is that students become like the lab rats, not the people who are conducting the experiments. And this poses a genuine dilemma for school leadership because when it comes to human dynamics and development, there are truths which remain fixed throughout time and cultural changes. Aristotle never had to counsel his pupils about cell phone use, but he did speak to them about how to use their time. Understanding ourselves and others is dependent on our knowledge of God. And here's where I'm going to help you to know, how can I inspire and mentor students to have a savvy, holistic faith in a God who cares about and speaks to every aspect of life? We're going to be looking both at what are timeless truths and also looking at modern research and what things do we know? What are new ways that we can conduct education to be effective? So we don't want to just adopt the old simply because it's old, but we also don't want to adopt the new simply because it's new. So I'm going to help you learn how to kind of sort through some of those things, which I know you are already doing. Sometimes it's just nice to have another voice to give affirmation to what you're already doing. Number 3, your third benefit is you're going to get actionable insights. Have you ever been frustrated by a speaker or book or article which advised you what you needed to do, but never told you how? Well, I know that feeling. As a parent, I know the frustration of someone teaching from the verse, train up a child in the way he should go, who never got around to telling me what that actually was supposed to look like. Or someone would write or say, oh, it's important to have clear boundaries. And I would think, I totally agree. Now, please tell me what that looks like at age 5 or 10 or 15. And in the classroom, it can be great to hear things like, you need to incorporate more technology. Awesome. How? I mean, what does that look like in practical ways that I can actually quantify and measure? I can't promise you that every time I present a why X is necessary, I am going to have a buffet of ideas on how to solve for X. But what I will promise you is to not only advocate for why something is important, but to include ideas and resources for the how. Number 4, you're going to be equipped with practical leadership and education resources. A Christian school is an organization. There are meetings, budgets, personnel issues. You've got professional development needs, technology considerations, marketing, school security concerns, quality control, and there's a dozen other realities of just operating an organization. So you're going to be introduced to resources and best practices which will help you handle the logistical side of leading and teaching so you can invest more time and energy in advancing the holistic spiritual aims of your institution. I will be introducing you to books, conferences, other podcasts, a variety of different resources, websites for you that you can also recommend or implement for students, for parents, for all of those aspects of your school so that you can be the absolute best light in your community and in the lives of your students that you can be. The format of this show is going to be a combination of sometimes it's just going to be me talking, and then there will also be interviews. So I'm going to share with you my own insights and experience, and also one of my tasks is to be able to learn and then to summarize information and condense that so I can hand it to you in a way that is respectful of your time. It's kind of like a Cliff's Note type version of some of the different resources that I'll bring to you. And then from that, you're going to be able to say, hey, I think I'd like to check more into that. And so that can be something, a book that you might buy, or a website that you might go to, an article that you might read. So I'm going to be bringing not just my own ideas, but also curating those from other sources. It is important to state here that just because I recommend or suggest an article or a person or a book does not mean that I have complete agreement with them or I am putting my stamp of approval on everything that they say. I learned from other Christians and people whose worldviews I entirely disagree with. I think you have the capacity to sort through things yourself. Here's one of our culture's great misfortunes. It is that the bulk of scientific research on human development and dynamics is rooted in evolution. I mean, it is hard to find research-based content about what makes people tick and even what makes organizations work that assumes we are designed, not evolved. God is generous with his knowledge and insight, even to those who don't acknowledge his existence. So therefore, when I recommend or refer to a resource that's not based on truth with a capital T, I trust you will exercise wisdom and discernment and just disregard all those claims and that stuff which contradict truth with a capital T and hold on to those valuable nuggets of veracity. Again, you've got a friend in me. I am passionate about Christian education. I believe that there has never been a time that the value of Christian schools as well as Christian home educators is more important in not just our country, but in our world. And that is why I am here. Coming up in the next episode are some powerful leadership principles that are found in the example of Nehemiah. There are so many similarities in this enormous mission that he had with yours as an educator. So I invite you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes, because who doesn't need more encouragement, timeless truths, actionable insights, and great resources? As you're checking out the Key 3 Educators website, be sure to sign up for the 3 Keys newsletter. And you are always invited to send me suggestions and requests for what you'd like to hear covered on this show. You can find contact information on the website. Until next time, remember, my friend, you have an impact which is immeasurable, eternal, and irreplaceable.
Thank you for being with us today. For information on speaking engagements and resources for your school or family, visit the website key3educators.com. Remember, learn yourself, love God, and live connected.